GJ, and welcome to the Financial Historian. Every single January, the same small town in the Swiss Alps becomes the capital of the world. Snow falls softly over glass chalets and security checkpoints. Black cars glide through the mountain fog. Choppers buzz over the valley. Inside, the world's most powerful people gather. They're there, supposedly, to fix the world's problems. Presidents, billionaires, central bankers, you name it. They rock up to Davos to talk about equality, sustainability, and the future of humanity. And then, every year, they fly home in private jets, markets reopen, and the world looks a little worse. The rich are richer, the poor are poorer. And the same system keeps chugging along just with a fresh coat of paint. I'm Dr. Volkan Temiz. This is where money, power, and history collide. And I'll tell you straight up, nothing is ever as simple as it looks. See, the real story of Davos isn't written in secret minutes or dodgy conspiracies. It's written out in the open. Its power doesn't come from hiding. It comes from pretending it doesn't need to. The World Economic Forum is not a government. It's got no borders, no voters, and zero accountability. Yet, for half a century, it has quietly influenced how global markets move, how policies are formed, and how we even think about what progress actually means. To understand its power, we need to go back to where it all began. The year was 1970, when a 33-year-old German engineer named Klaus Schwab invited 450 European business leaders to a resort in Switzerland. His idea was pretty humble, a symposium on management theory. But timing is everything. That same year, the US chucked their dead, ending the post-war federal order. Schwab's little conference arrived just as governments were losing control of the economy and corporations were discovering they didn't need governments to grow. The European Management Symposium offered something new, neutral turf where CEOs, economists, and policymakers could meet outside the noise of parliaments and elections. No press, no protests, no politics, just power. It wasn't about democracy. It was about efficiency. Schwab was ambitious. He wanted to create a platform for global coordination. As the 1970s brought economic chaos, Davos found its purpose. Governments were stuck in a rut. Corporations were adapting faster. And Schwab gave them a stage. By the 1980s, Davos was no longer just an event, it was the unofficial parliament of globalization. By 1992, it had a new moniker, the World Economic Forum. The phrase made it sound almost official. Like it was a branch of the United Nations? But it wasn't. The WEF is a private foundation, no treaties, no oversight, no public funding. Yet world leaders started rocking up every year, desperate to be seen among the global elite. Davos became a mirror of global ambition, a place where the powerful came to confirm one another's importance. After the Cold War, capitalism stood alone. The WEF grabbed that moment. It rebranded the pursuit of profit as the pursuit of progress. Globalisation became Universe Vatican. Politicians, oligarchs, and financiers made the pilgrimage to be known as the lower class, it.Narrative. So, how's it funded? Through memberships. A basic corporate membership costs a tidy sum. But to join the inner circle to become a strategic partner, you shelled out over $600,000. These partners weren't just random companies. BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, Google. What did they get in return? Direct access to the people who write the laws, negotiate treaties, and control the central banks. The panels and speeches, the ones about equality, and the environment were the public show. The real business happened in private rooms, away from the cameras, where CEOs and ministers could coordinate quietly. No votes, no headlines, just influence Nothing that happens in Davos is illegal. That's the sheer brilliance of it. It's not a conspiracy. It's a system working exactly as designed. When you put the world's most powerful economic players in the same room, they don't need to scheme. They just align. Every year brings a new theme. The Fourth Industrial Revolution, the Great Reset, Stakeholder Capitalism, they always point in one direction toward policies that make global capital more stable, predictable, and profitable. When the WEF called for the Great Reset after the pandemic, the language was utopian, rebuilding the world for fairness. But the practical effect was clear: massive public spending, digital infrastructure, and green initiatives that funneled billions into private hands. The world was being reset, all right, but by those who already owned the bloody lot. Davos never claims to rule. It claims to help. It doesn't pass laws, it shapes the vocabulary that laws are written in. If you control the narrative of reform, you never have to face the cost of it. Corporations that profit from pollution sponsoring panels on climate change. That's strategy, not hypocrisy. By the early 2000s, the WEF had morphed from a conference into a culture. It trained future leaders through its Young Global Leaders program, building a network that would carry the Davos mindset into every corner of the globe. They spoke the same language of progress, efficiency, and inevitability. And that's what makes Davos powerful. Not secret plans in smoky backrooms, but quiet agreement in glass ones. The real power of Davos lies in consensus. When you gather the people who control most of the world's capital, they don't need to collude. They only need to agree on what sounds reasonable. Climate change becomes a financial product. Poverty becomes an opportunity for impact investment. Everything can be folded into the system, as long as it delivers a return. This is the logical endpoint of modern capitalism. A borderless economy needs a borderless council. The WEF provides it. Every problem is treated as a branding challenge, not a structural flaw. There are historical echoes. Ancient empires built temples to signal divine order. Today, we gather in the Alps, not to divide territory, but to align narratives. The rituals have changed. The outcome hasn't. The real power of Davos isn't the speeches or the handshakes. It's the silence that follows them, the shared understanding that no matter how many crises come, the basic rules of the game will stay the same. The belief that the system can fix itself as long as the right people are in charge. But history doesn't work that way. Empires built on moral certainty always crumble under their own logic. One day, perhaps sooner than they think, the delusion will break. And the next great reset won't come from a summit, it'll come from below. Because the cycle of history always ends the same way. The people who think they can manage the world eventually discover they were only managing themselves. If this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe. History has the answers and I'll show you where to look. Until the next analysis, stay financially safe.